Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Justice Shekhar Yadav, who's the sitting judge of the Allahabad High Court, has stirred a controversy by making some objectionable comments against the Muslim community. He's used some pejorative words. He's also said that the country should be run according to a majoritarian agenda. After that speech, Supreme Court yesterday took cognizance of his speech, and they've asked for the details of the speech he made, and after which Kapil Sibal, who's the independent Rajya Sabha MP, has now sought impeachment. In Lok Sabha also, Srinagar MP Ruhullah Mehdi has said that he's going to submit notice seeking the impeachment of Justice Shekhar Yadav. Now, is this something unprecedented as far as judiciary is concerned? And what is the kind of action which should be taken against Justice Shekhar Yadav? Joining me now is a very special guest, former Chief Justice of Allahabad High Court, Justice Govind Mathur joins us. So thank you so much for joining. And
thank you.
Justice Mathur, it's unfortunate, that you were in that High Court, you were there as the Chief Justice. And here is an example of a sitting judge from Allahabad High Court who's made such a speech. Do you remember having heard a speech and this kind of a hate speech made by any judge in the judicial history ever?
This is really unprecedented, highly deplorable. I can't imagine that a judge will utter such nuisance. I can't. In my memory, there is no other person ever uttered these kind of words while holding the office or otherwise. These are words which are not, even a common man is not required to state such words while holding any kind of office or otherwise too.
But what do you think should the Supreme Court be doing, and to what extent can the Supreme Court go? And then I'll talk to you about the impeachment motion. So basically, what are the options before the Supreme Court? To what level can the Supreme Court really punish Justice Shekhar Yadav?
At the threshold, I welcome whatever steps taken by the Supreme Court. This has given a very good message to the people that our apex court is not going to accept these kind of pervert thinking among the judges of the constitutional courts. And therefore, whatever steps taken by the Supreme Court at this moment are really welcoming steps. But Supreme Court have its own limitations. In our constitutional scheme, it is the parliament that can take adequate steps against a sitting judge of a high court or a Supreme Court. So far as the apex court, Supreme Court is concerned, yes, that may observe about conduct, what should be the conduct of judges while holding the office, even by after leaving the office. But no disciplinary action can be taken by the Supreme Court. At the most, Supreme Court may recommend for transfer of a judge from one high court to other high court, but in my opinion, that is not a solution. The Supreme Court may also make a recommendation for initiating an impeachment motion.
Okay.
But essentially, it is for the parliament to take necessary steps.
But what would you really say to and I'm coming to the content of the speech which he made when he talks about the majoritarian agenda, and then he says that, nobody can tell me that I'm a high court judge and I should not be speaking in this manner. This is the kind of speech which he made. Now, will you not question the wisdom of Shekhar Yadav, because the judges swear by the Constitution, they take oath by the Constitution, and if he's talking in that vein, what would you really say, sir?
You see, so far as a conduct of a judge is concerned, the concept of majoritarian democracy is concerned, I think a judge of a constitutional court must know how he is supposed to behave. First of all, ours is not a democracy of where the counting of heads is the only requirement. The counting of heads is only and only to have a government. Otherwise, our system works on basis of our constitutional democracy. And a constitutional democracy means that our constitutional values, our constitutional morality, our constitutional ideals. These are the first thing. These are always required to be maintained, and you must be aware of the fact that in much back in 1973, in Keshwanand Bharati's case, Supreme Court held that Parliament can amend the constitutional provisions, but can't change the basic structure. The basic structure is our constitutional values: secularism, brotherhood, integrity, and to respect our constitution. These are a part of our basic structure. Whatever judge stated in the program of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, that is nothing but an injury to our constitutional values. So merely by saying that majority want this, majoritarianism should prevail, I think that indicates the lack of knowledge about constitution. I think this is quite serious.
Does it also, Justice Mathur, raise questions on the kind of judges which are being appointed by the high courts? I mean, I'm purely talking from the point of view of Shekhar Yadav's competence.
I'm not concerned only with only one judge, but yes, uh, we must understand that when we are going to appoint judges, several factors are to be taken into consideration. Like, you see, first I want to make myself quite clear that every man, every individual have its own political thought, political understanding, political leaning. That is quite common in a democratic state. But while holding the office of a judge, you are always required to be governed by constitution and the constitutional values, constitutional provisions, and other law applicable. Your thought, whatever that may be, that can't prevail when you are holding an office, especially a judicial office. Even otherwise, as an Indian citizen, my fundamental duty is to respect my constitution. My fundamental duty is to ensure integrity of the nation. My fundamental duty is to maintain brotherhood, to have to maintain secular fabric. These are my fundamental duties, and at least a judge must know that his any action, his any statement, his any step taken by him should not be in the direction that may cause any injury to these values, these fundamental duties. These are the fundamental duties of every citizen, what to talk of a judge. So I think if anybody is thinking in the manner that is contrary to our constitution, constitutional values, and to the extent the judge uttered in the meeting of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, I think that reflects perversion in thinking.
But what about the judicial propriety? I mean, Prashant Bhushan has also written a letter. A lot of the lawyer forums have also written that this is a violation of the judicial propriety. This is breaching the solemn oath of a judge, and it has also violated the code of conduct of the judges. So, what would
Not,
you say to these violations which have been made by Justice Shekhar Yadav?
I think this is every violation, judicial norms. And when I am saying that he has violated even the principles and duties required to be adhered by a citizen, then he is little more than that. He is holding a very responsible office. He has committed blunder. This is highly deplorable. I think every strong step should be taken by every authority concerned, and everyone who is little bit concerned about our judicial system, our democracy, must come forward to convey that yes, such kind of a statement, such kind of conduct is not at all acceptable in this country.
As you very clearly said, that Justice Shekhar Yadav has committed a blunder, and how can this blunder now be addressed? Is impeachment the only answer, or probably Supreme Court will say that okay, he'll be transferred to another court, or his judicial work will be suspended because his retirement is due sometimes in 2026? What do you think is the most befitting punishment for Justice Shekhar Yadav?
You see, so far as the Supreme Court is concerned, in judicial side, it can certainly make certain observations, but no disciplinary action that can take. And that is right that our constitution doesn't permit for that. And I respect this provision, this scheme of the constitution. It is only and only for the parliament to think what is the appropriate, what would be appropriate in this matter. As I told you earlier, that he has violated constitutional duty for constitutional duty, and therefore Parliament must think that what should be done in this matter. So far as disciplinary action against the judge is concerned, that is only and only just to shunt him out from the office by impeachment, and no other provision is there, no other mode is there, no other media is there. It is the only and only thing that can be done. But I am not suggesting any kind of what step should be taken, but I say this is not at all acceptable. This is highly deplorable.
Justice Shekhar Yadav went for a function which was organized by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, and Vishwa Hindu Parishad's Vice President, Mr. Alok Kumar, has said that he's like dismissed all this criticism, and he's saying that we keep calling the judges and they have their views, and I mean, in a way, they are supporting what Justice Shekhar Yadav has said. And if VHP is supporting, I'm just wondering how BJP would react. But the point is that if Justice Shekhar Yadav is speaking in this vein, would you say that he's trying to address a political constituency, and is he trying to, I mean, and also, does it show that he's got some political ambitions, because he's trying to say what is very pleasing to the ruling party and the ideology of that party?
I want to tell you, sir, in this regard, that at the first instance, Vishwa Hindu Parishad must have called a judge. They will again call a judge. Wisdom of a judge where to go and where not to go. If I would have been there, and most of the judges, they would have not gone there. I may be a religious person. I may have my faith and belief, but as a judge, I am only a judge who is required to work as per the provisions of the Constitution. I have my judicial limitations. I am required to work within that. So I would have not gone to that forum. May that be Vishwa Hindu Parishad or any other religious organization, a judge should always be required to restrain himself in participating in such type of organizations. So far as why Justice, the sitting judge of the Allahabad High Court, he visited and why he went there, whether he is having any post-retirement plans, I don't want to say anything about the individual, but I wish to tell you that earlier too, we have seen number of judges who became judge, and then after leaving the office, they again became politicians. But while holding the office, they worked fearlessly, without any favor, and at that time they were governed only and only by the constitution and the law prevailing. You see, Justice Krishna Iyer, he was education minister in the state of Kerala at the very initial stage, much back in 50s. Justice Vedpal Tyagi, who was Chief Justice of Rajasthan High Court, he was a minister in the first ministry after integration of Rajasthan. Shri Guman Lodha, he was a very wonderful judge of Rajasthan High Court. He remained president of Jansangh before he was president at the time when he was appointed as a judge. After retirement, he became member parliament twice. But as a judge, nobody raised any finger against relating to their conduct. This should be a conduct of a judge. But if a person is keeping the constitution in back, coming out with his own political agenda or personal agenda, I think this is very serious. And whosoever there may be, any institution or body, we all must think that what should be the criteria for appointment of judges, and while making appointment of judges, while making recommendation for appointment of judges, we should look into each and every aspect, entire history and all background of the person concerned. We must know the strength of the mental fiber of such person. If we find that have a weak fiber, he can't work as per the constitution, he take the judgeship as a career instead of a mission, then such person should not be recommended for holding the office of a judge. The constitutional courts are meant for people to impart the justice. These are the very big institutions. These are the constitutional institutions. All care is required to be taken while making appointments to these institutions.
As you rightly said, this entire atmosphere in which judges exist, the entire atmosphere in which the election commissioners exist, it seems that, somewhere there is some kind of a bending which is happening for some benefits. At least there is a perception like that. Nobody has a proof of whether it's happening or not. But how can you prevent such things? I mean, after Shekhar Yadav's episode, what he has, the kind of hate speech which he has made, what do you think should be an SOP? It's already been there. All the judges know about it. But even then, if transgressions have been made by people like Justice Shekhar Yadav, what do you think should be done by the Supreme Court at least? At least put out an SOP that, look, you can't go here, you can't go there. Would that be right? Or should another SOP be listed out and given to like a handbook given to the judges that, look, you've got to follow this, otherwise there'll be strict action against you? Does something of this sort is needed or required at this point of time?
For judges, the first thing is the self-restrainment. A judge must understand that what office he is holding, what reputation he possesses in our constitutional democracy, what people think about him. And for that only, I said that the bodies which are making recommendations for appointment must know the strength of the mental fiber of such person. But now, appointments have already been made. Things are going to be changed with the time. So at least now the Supreme Court has taken cognizance. Supreme Court is dealing with this matter in its judicial side. I hope the Supreme Court will make certain observations, may also lay down certain, at least broad principles to be followed and to be which should be the part of the conduct of the sitting judges as well as the retired judges. I say that even a retired judge have lot of responsibilities. How he is required to act and after retirement. These are things I think Supreme Court must lay down some guidelines in this regard. Otherwise, it is only the self-restrainment.
Right. And self-restrainment is also something like self-restraint is something which is subjective to one particular judge. The levels may differ. But the big question now is, and my final question to you, Justice Mathur, is that do you think that this episode is a new law in the judiciary which we have seen? We've seen a new law in the parliament yesterday when there was a no trust motion, which was a no trust resolution, which has been moved against the vice president and chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And now this is a new law in the judiciary.
In the early 80s, नागार्जुन अटर said something, घर हुआ घूरा बर्बाद हो गया, शौक मालाओं का पूरा हो गया. Unfortunately, that is the position nowadays in our constitutional institutions also. This is the judiciary, parliament, other institutions. You will find every day we are going to a lower step. I don't know where we will go, but yes, as a very vigilant citizen, we all, maybe the lawyers, judges, journalists, politicians, educationists, academicians, we must think over that yes, we are required to act collectively. We have to protect our constitutional values. We have to go for a better India in accordance with our constitution, our the whatever mottos we had during the national movement. We are required to have some mode for that, some way for that. We have to work for that. Otherwise, you will find every day something we are losing.
So my final question and to you, sir, is that do you think that impeachment is the only punishment which can be given to Justice Yadav for the kind of blunder, in your words, which he has made?
This is, I think, Parliament must think this entire issue just to save the Indian judiciary, just with to make the judiciary more powerful, strengthen the judiciary, and to keep the judiciary in right direction as thought by our constitution framers. I hope Parliament will take an appropriate decision in this regard.
So you are saying in very clear terms that impeachment can save the judiciary, it can act as a deterrent for the judges not to behave in this manner.
I am just saying that yes, Parliament must think that what should be appropriate to meet such type of circumstances, and further to give a message to everybody that yes, no, nothing shall be accepted that is causing any injury to independence of our judiciary or to anything that is protected by our constitution and constitutional values.
But sir, what happens if the parliament stops short of giving a very stern message in this particular case? Because we do not know whether this particular impeachment motion, if at all it is moved, it is accepted, and then it reaches the debate stage. There are big question marks because it's a long drawn process. So what happens if the parliament stops short of sending out a stern message in case of Justice Shekhar Yadav? Then what happens?
If Parliament fails to discharge its pious duty, then yes, ultimately people have to take decision. People have to come forward, and when I am saying that people, it includes you and me, meaning thereby that each and every person who are concerned with our constitutional value, he has to come forward. He has to convey the Parliament that yes, it is we are having a constitutional democracy, and Parliament is also abide by each and every constitutional value. You are required to protect those. And for that, ultimately, struggle is part of life. We have to go for a struggle to save our constitution.
Right. But after so much of humiliation, I mean, after all, he's a sitting judge. What he has done is a blunder. It's not pardonable at all. But as a graceful exit, what is the thing which he can do? Should he not resign? Should Shekhar Yadav not?
I am not at all concerned that what this specific judge should do. I am much more concerned about independence of judiciary. I am independent. This structure of a persons who are holding the judiciary and the image of the judiciary among the Indian people who wish to have justice from our judiciary. So at least judiciary is required to protect itself. Otherwise, what an individual is doing, I think an individual will be all right if the health of the entire judiciary is right. A healthy judiciary will give healthy judges.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining on the Federal. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: subscribe to our channel, send us a feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal.